It's a scam. That's the verdict on Route 66. 85% gone, paved over, bypassed, or buried under a Walmart. And yet, 200,000 people still drive what's left every year. So which miles are still worth it? History is stubborn. It waits in a Missouri hideout, an Arizona barbershop, and a Texas ghost town the wind still hasn't finished with. We drove the whole thing, marked up the EZ66 guide, Reddit's road trip planning Bible, and found 10 stops. Number 7 is so untouched you can still see wagon ruts from the 1800s in the desert floor. Let's go. 1. Meramec Caverns, Missouri. 60 feet underground in a constant 58 degrees, Jesse James once counted his stolen gold by lantern light. Meramec Caverns runs 4.5 miles into the limestone beneath Stanton, Missouri. Discovered in the early 1700s, it served as a saltpeter mine during the Civil War before becoming one of Route 66's original tourist traps. The cave's signature moment is the stage curtain, a 70-foot wall of flowstone that looks like a theater drape frozen in stone. Fun fact, the cave's owners found artifacts traceable to the James Gang in the 1940s. And to this day, the tour stops at Loot Rock, where Jesse and Frank allegedly divided up their robberies. The guided tour runs about an hour. Bring a jacket, it's always cool, always damp, and open year-round. Just off I-44 at exit 230. From Jesse James's underground hideout, we now surface into the daylight, where the road itself became the exhibit. 2. Route 66, State Park, Missouri. Route 66 State Park sits on land with a story most visitors never learn. But you're here because this is one of the quietest, greenest stops on the entire Mother Road. Over 7 miles of hiking and biking trails thread through restored wetlands and bottomland forest along the Meramec River. Wildflowers blanket the open fields in spring and summer. The riverbank draws birdwatchers, great blue herons, kingfishers, and the occasional bald eagle. Fun fact, the visitor center, housed in a 1935 roadhouse, has one of the best Route 66 gift shops in Missouri. The map selection alone is worth the stop. The old Meramec River Bridge, the original Route 66 crossing, now serves as a pedestrian bridge with sweeping valley views. Walk it at golden hour. The park is free, open sunrise to sunset, and the riverside picnic tables are the best lunch spot between St. Louis and Springfield. From a state park built on Route 66's ghost, we now trade reverence for irreverence, because our next stop is the most unapologetically weird fudge factory in America. 3. Uranus Fudge, Factory, Missouri. There's a town in Missouri that legally named itself after a planet and turned the pun into an empire. Uranus Fudge Factory sits on Old Route 66 Frontage Road in St. Robert. The founder bought the land, built a general store, started making fudge, and realized the name was the entire marketing strategy. Today, the complex includes a sideshow museum, a moonshine tasting room, and a funnel cake stand. Fun fact, the fudge is genuinely good, made on site, multiple flavors, and the best seller is chocolate walnut. The pun brings people in. The fudge brings them back. Parking is free, the fudge is not, and budget at least 45 minutes to walk every room, family friendly in the broadest sense. From a fudge factory that doesn't take itself seriously, we now cross into Texas, where 10 Cadillacs are buried nose first in a wheat field for reasons nobody can fully explain. 4. Cadillac Ranch, Texas. In 1974, a helium heir and 3 San Francisco art students buried 10 Cadillacs in a wheat field outside Amarillo, each angled at the same pitch as the Great Pyramid of Giza. Cadillac Ranch spans model years 1949 through 1963, tracking the tail fins rise and fall. The cars were originally painted in factory colors, but decades of public spray painting have buried every finish under an inch-thick crust of constantly evolving latex. Fun fact, the installation moved in 1997. Amarillo sprawl forced the relocation, so they dug up all 10 Cadillacs, hauled them 2 miles west, and reburied them in the exact same formation, same angle, same spacing. No admission, no hours, no gate. Pull off I-40 at exit 60. Bring spray paint or just stand back and watch the art change in real time. From spray-painted Cadillacs, we now trade living art for a dead town, a ghost on the Texas-New Mexico line that the interstate erased overnight. 5. Glenrio, Texas and New Mexico. Glenrio straddles the Texas-New Mexico border, and for most of the 20th century, that border was its entire identity. Born as a railroad stop in 1903, Glenrio boomed when Route 66 arrived. By the 1950s, it was the only stop for miles, a gas station, a motel, a diner, and the little Juarez Cafe serving travelers crossing the high plains. Fun fact, Texas was dry. New Mexico wasn't, so every bar sat on the New Mexico side of the street. The state line ran through the middle of the party. I-40 bypassed Glenrio in 1973. By the 1980s, the last business closed. Today, the buildings still stand, a motel with no guests, a gas station with no pumps, bring water, no services for 40 miles. From a silence so complete it hurts, we now roll into neon because Tucumcari still burns its lights every night, waiting for travelers who mostly never come. 6. Tucumcari, New Mexico. When I-40 bypassed Tucumcari in the 1960s, the same story that killed Glenrio played out here, except Tucumcari refused to die. At its peak, Tucumcari offered over 2,000 motel rooms. The Blue Swallow Motel, open since 1939, still operates today. Neon humming, garages intact, the original motto on a sign, 100% refrigerated air. Fun fact, about 25 original neon signs still light up every night along the main drag. It's not a museum, it's a working main street frozen in 1957. Best experience at dusk. Book the Blue Swallow or the Motel Safari if staying overnight. TP Curios is worth the stop for souvenirs and the concrete teepee out front. From vintage neon, we now trade the 20th century for the Triassic, where an entire forest turned to stone 200 million years before the first car ever crossed this desert. 7. Petrified Forest National Park, Arizona. 200 million years ago, giant trees fell into ancient rivers and were buried in volcanic ash so rich in silica it replaced every cell of wood with quartz, ring by ring. Petrified Forest holds one of the largest concentrations of petrified wood on Earth. The trees are late Triassic, older than the dinosaurs you're picturing. The park also contains a stretch of the Painted Desert, where iron and manganese have stained the Badlands in bands of red, purple, and gray. Route 66 once ran through here. A weathered telephone pole still marks the old alignment. Fun fact, some logs are so well preserved you can count individual tree rings on a trunk alive before the first dinosaur walked the planet. Entry is $25 per vehicle, good for 7 days. No collecting. Fines start at $325. Best light is late afternoon when the petrified logs glow amber and the Painted Desert earns its name. From a forest frozen in stone, we now head west to a town that almost froze in time, saved by a barber who refused to let the road die. 8. Seligman, Arizona. Angel Delgadillo was born in Seligman in 1927, 1 year younger than Route 66 itself. He opened his barbershop on Main Street in 1950, and for almost 3 decades he cut hair while travelers rolled past his window. Then came September 22nd, 1978, the day I-40 opened and bypassed Seligman entirely. Traffic vanished, businesses closed, Angel watched his town begin to die. So he picked up the phone. He called business owners along the old road, he petitioned Arizona, and in 1987 he founded the historic Route 66 Association of Arizona, the first of its kind in any of the 8 Route 66 states. Fun fact, without a small-town barber who refused to accept the road was finished, historic Route 66 does not exist. Every sign, guidebook, and map with that shield traces back to this man. Stop at Delgadillo's snowcap for a milkshake. The stretch of original pavement between Seligman and Kingman is one of the longest uninterrupted segments still drivable. 80 miles exactly as it was in 1950. From the barber who saved Route 66, we now climb into the Black Mountains, where wild burros own the streets and the Old West never got the memo that it ended. 9. Oatman, Arizona. Oatman is the only town on Route 66 where traffic jams are caused by donkeys. Perched at 2,700 feet, Oatman boomed in 1915 when 2 miners struck a $10 million gold vein. By the 1920s, the population hit 3,500. Then the gold ran out, the mines closed, and Oatman emptied, but the burros stayed. Fun fact, the wild burros blocking traffic today are direct descendants of the miners' pack animals. Now, a few dozen roam the streets, federally protected, and they know exactly where the tourists keep the carrots. Sitgreaves Pass is the road in, steep, winding, and slow. Do not attempt in an RV, gas up in Kingman first, no fuel in Oatman. Best time is mid-morning when the burros are most active. From donkeys blocking traffic on a mountain pass, we now chase the sunset to the end of the road, where America runs out of pavement and the Pacific Ocean tells you you're done. 10. Santa Monica Pier, California. Route 66 officially ends at Lincoln and Olympic in Santa Monica. But nobody takes their photo there. The ceremonial finish is the Santa Monica Pier, where the end of the trail sign stands at the edge of the continent. The pier opened in 1909. Pacific Park arrived in 1996, its solar-powered Ferris wheel visible for miles. Fun fact, that sign was not installed until 2009. For 61 years after Route 66 was decommissioned, the mother road ended with no marker at all. Nobody thought to put one up until the road's 83rd birthday. Parking is $10 to $15. The pier is free. Walk to the end, touch the sign, you've crossed 8 states and 2,400 miles to get here. Sunset is the shot. If this video changed how you see Route 66, hit like, subscribe for more unseen places, and comment which stop you'd visit first. If this video made you laugh, dream or scream, road trip, you will love the next video. Click here. The next wonder is one click away.